Hi, D. Bethel here, creator, writer, and artist of the Long John webcomic, which you can find at longjohncomic.com. Here with another time-lapse drawing done on my iPad of 6 fan arts. The 6 fan arts challenge started on social media, I believe, a couple years ago. 2020 is when I did my first one. With Long John Chapter 5 finished, I figured it'd be a good, fun thing to do, so I reached out on social media for suggestions for characters, as well as including some of my own desired characters to draw, such as Queen Bavmorda, the villain from the original Willow movie. And there's a lot of great characters from that movie. It's a personal favorite of mine. What I love about this character is that the actress Jean Marsh, who plays her in the movie, is so over the top and just into it that she's always doing incredible expressions. And so I wanted to lean into that and then put my cartooniness on top of it. I imagine she's saying in this a line from the movie, which is Razel, when her nemesis Finn Razel shows up to do some sorceress battles. And it was really fun to lean into those expressions. And towards the end here is where you see me choose the brown and light blue color palette as a way to kind of just look at the way I draw differently and see how it works out. Picard was surprisingly kind of easy to draw. It wasn't an exact likeness, but, in a cartoony nature, you're just looking for a bald guy and serious face and the pips on the collar. But it was also fun to play in that high contrast style, something I do again with another character. He was fun to draw because my wife and I had actually just recently finished a watch through of The Next Generation. There's some characters on here that don't make it to the end, Grifter and Wednesday being among them. But let's talk about Hilda from the comic series and Netflix animated series. I was kind of nervous to draw her because the art style of Hilda is so singular and iconic that if I were just to draw her any other way, she'd just look like a kid. And so I had to figure out what are the iconic aspects of this character to make her be immediately recognizable. And so I tried to go with the attitude of just being eternally optimistic and always looking for the good in people and being super excited. And also there's her blue hair and her beret. You might be seeing in the videos the image flipping back and forth. A standard trick to see if your drawing is solid is to actually look at the mirror image of it. And what's nice about this is you can literally flip the image, keep drawing on it instead of like holding up to a mirror or holding up to a window. You flip it over, keep drawing, flip it back and forth, so you're always kind of tweaking and making it more and more sound. I was thinking of cool characters, interesting characters, iconic characters, and so my thoughts turned to video games, as they often do. One of the most iconic characters in all the fighting games is Chun from the classic arcade game Street Fighter II. It was a surprisingly easy draw, considering it's not a character I've really drawn before, but I had fun rendering her hair more than anything, and the composition for this panel ended up being a little tight, but I might want to make sure I got her signature sort of hair poofs and spiky gauntlets in there, and have it be an interesting dynamic pose as well. You work with what you got, and I think it turned out all right. As always, I need to draw a character from the X-Men. And so I went with a character from the 90s, back when I was reading them, or began reading the X-Men. And this is Bishop, time-traveling badass from the future. You actually saw it when I was drawing Bavmorda as well. And it happened again here, where in a lot of ways, especially when you keep checking yourself by reversing the image, drawing characters straight on can present more challenges than having them in a 3/4 view, like every other characters in this collection of drawings. Turning characters a little bit to that 3/4 view, a profile view, can make a drawing much more dynamic. But there isn't a distinct and interesting challenge to having them face forward. I really wanted that sort of stoic strength of Bishop, and so I wanted to nail that straight ahead view. And you can see me bounce back and forth quite a bit, trying to just always tweaking. And I went a little bit more realistic with this. I really wanted to emphasize the melodrama of the pose, which is also why I broke the sort of color palette that I was using by having his glowing fist illuminate his face. But that also allowed me to play with the lighting, and instead of just shading normal face shadows, actually kind of, I'm sure there's a term for it, but lighting from below and having sort of what are normally the opposite sides of the shapes of the face that we put shadows on, have those in shadow, really enhances the drama and made him really fun to bring to life here. The last character is a personal favorite of mine from the show Gargoyles, Goliath, voiced by Keith David. The best part about drawing a gargoyle, whether it's from the show Gargoyles or not, is that you get to really lean into the chiaroscuro of it, the deep shadows, the bright illumination on pieces of the figure. And in fact, the more you can push the figure into the shadows, just the better it looks. And so it actually went easily, but I really, like, man, why don't I draw this character more? In fact, all these characters are fun to draw, and characters I've never tackled before. So it was really cool challenge to do this, especially with the limited color palette that I used. And it's always fun to really try to capture the personality of a character so that they're recognizable not just by the clothes they're wearing, but by who they are. And of course, you hope that who they are in your mind lines up with who they are in other people's minds. And people seem to dig it. It was a lot of fun. And I will definitely come back and do another round of these at some point in the future. If you follow me on social media, keep a suggestion in mind. And when I put out the call, please let me know. So I'm D. Bethel, and thank you for watching me draw.